It has no doubt been a rough few weeks for the city of Albuquerque, especially the police department. Officers have shot and killed not one but two people, making headlines all around the world and sparking a protest that sent police out in riot gear, tear gas flying, and led some away in handcuffs. That was on Sunday. So the question this morning, how does Albuquerque recover, repair its tarnished image, and how does the police force gain back people's trust? Here to talk about it this morning is Mayor R.J. Berry. Good morning, Mayor. It's good to see you. All right, let's talk about this. We talked about, there's a phrase, a PR phrase. There's no such thing as bad publicity. I'm not sure that holds true for Albuquerque for the past couple of weeks. With the internet, social media, the viral video of the James Boyd shooting, how do you begin to repair the city's image?
Well, you know, people have to understand that we had a serious incident here, and that incident is being investigated from the FBI and the DA all the way down through a multi-jurisdictional task force with 5 different agencies. So we are taking that incident seriously. We're talking about the James Boyd situation in the foothills. One incident does not paint a city, nor does one incident paint a department. And I think that's important for people to remember. This is a great city. We have men and women in the Albuquerque Police Department to go out every day, risk their lives, keep us safe. Almost every single one of the hundreds of thousands of calls that we answer every year ends positively. And we have one that is a very serious issue. We're taking it seriously, but as we talk about this with people around the country and around the community here, they just need to understand that that's not, you know, Albuquerque doesn't equal one event, even though that is a very, very serious event.
Right, that is the one that gets out there, and that's what people see. Part of the James Boyd case is mental health. You've talked about this a lot the past couple days. 4 years ago, it was Kenneth Ellis. We had Christopher Torres. All police shootings that deal with mental health. How can the city and the police department better kind of treat people, take care of people, and kind of de-escalate situations where mental health is a very big issue?
One of the things that I think is really important for people to understand, that those, you know, people living with mental health issues and violence don't equal the same thing. So mental health issues do not equal violence. In rare cases, there are individuals who are living with mental health issues where they have a propensity to do themselves or others harm. Now, that's not necessarily any one of those cases that you just talked about, but you have public safety professionals, police officers in Albuquerque and around the country that on a more and more regular basis, because we have a lack of healthcare services in this country, find themselves face to face with individuals in crisis who are living with mental illness, you know, mental health issues. We have to train our officers, which we in Albuquerque have what's called CIT training, crisis intervention training. Yesterday, Chief Eden announced that he's going to mandate a process where we move up to where 100% of our officers have some type of CIT training certification. Right now, about 27% of our department has that. That's probably a fairly high percentage for police departments around the country, because a lot of police departments don't have anything along those lines. But the more times that we have folks who are in crisis coming in contact with public safety, the more imperative it is for us to do additional training. You know, it's interesting that in most cities across the country, the largest provider of mental health services is the jail and the prison systems. And we can do better. And we're working actually through the White House. The president asked us to start hosting mental health summits around the country, and Albuquerque was the very first one of those. Sacramento is also doing that in some other cities. It's a broad national discussion, not just about incidences like James Boyd, but incidences where we just have folks in our community that want to turn to services and get the help that they need, and they struggle with that. So it's much broader discussion than just one incident, but that one incident certainly has sparked that conversation.
Sure. With that, there's a report in the Albuquerque Journal. I don't think you've seen this yet or have you talked with Gordon Eden about it, the police chief? It says that the crisis intervention team did not go out to the James Boyd case during that hours-long standoff was there.
I didn't see the article yet this morning. My paper didn't come this morning, but we have policies and procedures at the Albuquerque Police Department. We have procedures where CIT trained individuals are supposed to be at events. Now, we have this multi-jurisdictional task force investigation going on. One of the things that we'll find out is were all those protocols and procedures followed in the James Boyd case. That's an answer that we need to know. There's a lot of questions on that incident. We need answers, and that's why we're doing the investigations.
Okay, that report is coming. Also, the Department of Justice, you talked about that. You had a news conference about it yesterday. Any idea when its report on APD in general, the one that's been going on for a year and a half, is going to be released?
We don't. I can tell you that we meet with DOJ. We have met with DOJ throughout the process the last year and a half. Those meetings, there's more and more of those. We have my staff, my CAO and my chief of police calling them on a regular basis. We called them after the James Boyd incident, for example, and said, look, there's a situation here that we would like you to look at. They did. They passed that on to the FBI. Now the FBI is opening a criminal investigation into that case. So we're active, but we haven't been told when. Now we understand that they have to do a thorough job and do their work, and we have a very collaborative and professional relationship with the Department of Justice, but we haven't been told exactly when. And we hope that that's sooner than later, because I think that's going to help us start the process of moving forward.
All right, part of your big news conference yesterday, you talked about some proactive approaches before that investigation comes out. You can find all of that information, by the way, at krqe.com. Just one more thing about this James Boyd case and all the negative attention with it. You've heard from people all over the country. When it comes to attracting businesses here, you have the business incubator, the tech incubator. There's a possibility that Tesla will come here. How does all this negative attention affect business wanting to come to the Duke City?
People want to see you taking aggressive and positive actions. We had, as I said earlier, with the James Boyd situation in the foothills, that's a very serious thing. And we're taking it seriously. People see us being aggressive on how we're approaching that. We'll need answers once investigations are done. Then we'll need to take additional steps. And I think that's what people want to see. They know we have a wonderful city. They know we have a great workforce. It's a great place to live, raise your family, have a business. It's absolutely a wonderful city. This doesn't change that, but they want to see you, taking action, and they see us doing that. And so in the long run, we want to make sure that people know this is absolutely a great place, and not let one incident paint an entire community or one incident paint a department.
Okay, let's change gears a little bit. Sure. This week you released your budget. You had a lot of things dealing with police. I think new police officers, new police cars. You also talked about, for the second time in 2 years, adding more jobs to the city. What kind of jobs are you talking about, and when would these might be available?
One of the things that we have to do in Albuquerque is diversify our economy. We are very reliant on the public sector here, and we're blessed to have that. It's great to have Sandia Labs, AFRL, Air Force Research Labs, Kirtland Air Force Base, Los Alamos Labs up the street. UNM is here, great employer as well. But we want to diversify that more into additional private sector jobs. We have about 22% of our population now that works inside of government. We would like to have that more in the 15 to 16% range, which would mimic what other cities are doing. But we don't want to do that by shrinking the government sector here. We want to do that by growing the private sector, and we think we can do that through entrepreneurship. Maria and I have a family-owned business here for decades. This is a very entrepreneurial place. You talk to kids in elementary schools and middle schools and high schools, and you talk to people that work at Sandia National Laboratories that are geniuses at their research, and there's a lot of folks out there that if they had an opportunity would like to do something entrepreneurial. So this is what Innovate ABQ is about with Bob Frank and the University of New Mexico, trying to commercialize that research coming out of UNM. We've talked to the National Nuclear Security Agency, which is here, and the Department of Energy about maybe bringing a center of excellence here to help commercialize that research. But we also just want to go out in the community and say, listen, you can do this. If you've never had anybody that put their arm around you and said, look, we believe in you, you have the ability to not just do this job, but have your own business and do that job. We think that's an important move forward. That will take a long time to make that shift into more entrepreneurial ecosystem, if you will. But I think the city's ready for it. The people here are great, and I think it'll make a big difference for this generation, but also over generations to come. So there's $1 million extra in the budget this year.
Okay, I was just going to ask how much to help get that process going.
An additional $1 million in the economic development budget to work with Gary Opedal, who's my economic development director, who I brought in. He's kind of a serial entrepreneur. He's taken several companies public. He's taken tech out of the labs and commercialized it. He was like on the front end of what is now MCOR in our community. He really understands that process of growing businesses. So we need to get more in this process of yes, we want to attract the Teslas. Absolutely. What a great get that would be for us. But we also want to start growing our own businesses. And those businesses start a lot of times at a kitchen table,
Yeah.
or at a folding table somewhere, or at a small shop.
Garcia's.
And then they absolutely,
Yeah,
and then they
people getting
grow.
away
So
to
we need to let people know that it's okay to take a chance. And then if you go to cities that have a real entrepreneurial ecosystem, they understand that businesses start and sometimes they don't succeed the first time, but you have to fail forward. Eclipse, perfect example. Eclipse Aviation is here. It didn't work in the first iteration, obviously. Great product. Now they're back.
You're giving them incentives to help them
they sold
grow.
the company. They've come in now. Ed Lundin and his group out there, Mason Holland, they're making jets again. It's the hottest thing on the market. It's a fail forward situation, and it's been a great success, even though it didn't work on the first iteration. Now it's a completely different company, different management. The only thing the same about it, of course, is the Eclipse name. Perfect example of how we should celebrate those kinds of things in Albuquerque, and we are.
Yep, they launched their first jet last month. It's a huge success.
Awesome.
For
I don't know
them.
if you've ever been in one. I've never flown in one, but if you just, it's a
Get me a ride in one of them.
It's a well, just call them up. You guys,
Okay.
I'm sure.
Well, dude, I need to ask you about this. You are 0-2 on this show talking about sports. You missed the Super Bowl with the Broncos. You said UNM. I was bummed about this as much as you were. Was going to get into the Sweet 16. They got knocked out in the second round. All right, we got Florida, we got Wisconsin, we got Kentucky, and UConn left. Who's it going to be? One of these schools is my alma mater, too, so you better pick the right one.
One of the things I've learned is, don't quit your day job.
Yeah.
I guess I won't be a sports prognosticator. What's your home?
I'm a Gator. I'm a Gator at heart. I'm a Florida
Really?
Gator.
So's my brother-in-law.
Okay.
Yeah,
I like that guy.
I can't do it. I can't go.
can't-
I don't know, man.
Can't go Gators?
I'm just going to watch like everybody else and,
All right.
and hope for some good games.
It's been a good Final Four. Mayor
Hey,
RJ
thanks
Berry,
a
it's
lot.
good to see you. Thank you for coming in this morning. We'll be right back here on Two Costs of the